Simo, you did the Rarran's Rumble thing. You remember that? That was so fun. You got to play with Hearthstone cards early.
It was a great time. We kicked your ass twice.
You won the tournament, so therefore you should be the best person for this. But here's the thing, buddy.
God.
Here's the thing.
Oh God.
We had a rule during the Rarran's Rumble tournament. Do you remember what that rule was for deck building? Do you remember what it was?
We had to have 10 cards from the new expansion, right?
That is correct. Which means the decks that you saw during Rarran's Rumble were, I'm not going to call them significantly worse, but they weren't optimized. On top of that, we had a job. Our job was to showcase the new quests. The quests being the fundamental mechanic of the brand new set, Journey to the Lost City, whatever the hell it's called. I have to say this before we even get into this. This is recorded like literally a couple days after the expansion's been released. So there's been no patch yet. I have to make sure that's very clear for people who are watching, because I think by the time this comes out, there will be one patch for sure. The quests suck. And I'm not talking about suck as in like, they're like, they're 40% win rate. One of the quests is currently at 20% win rate.
What? Okay.
Now, on the flip side, there is one quest that is at 54% win rate.
Is that the highest of all?
That's the highest out of all of them. And there's a bunch of them in between. I am going to tell you this right now, just to give you even more information. There's only one quest above a 50% win rate, and there's 11 of them.
Wow.
So
you're okay. I have to figure out what has the highest win rate. Is that the goal? Yes,
the highest win rate. Also, what's the lowest win rate? Because this will be extremely interesting. I will tell you throughout my entire time playing Hearthstone, I don't think I've ever seen like an actual like push deck, and I'm using pushed in quotations because it depends on the expansion and what people build, but a push archetype deck be that low before. That is maybe unheard of. So we're gonna see how well you can do.
Now let me ask this: Is it because they didn't like ban or rotate out other cards?
It's a great question. That's a great question. I would argue that the problem with the quests is that they just don't match the power level that they were hoping for amongst the other cards in the standard set. The other issue is, and this is maybe a conversation for a different video, but you could actively see the Hearthstone team is trying to decrease the power level in the game, and one of the trade-offs by doing that is by making newer expansions weaker and therefore less likely to be played in the metagame.
It's really interesting. We had a similar, not to go off tangent, but we had a similar instance where one of the best decks in Yu-Gi-Oh ever, and maybe I'll show you it one day, was followed up by one of like the slowest, very fun formats of all time. And people never thought like we're at the precipice of that power level, like, oh, the game's going off the rails. But they actually somehow, through like banning like the entire deck, basically, they like reset the game, and then the game was like slow again for like a very short period of time in like 2014 to 2015. Yeah, maybe I'll show you that someday.
Kind of following on that thing, like your example, there's a chance that after this rotation happens that Hearthstone's going to be significantly lower power leveled. One of the problems with quests inherently as a design though is that because they're kind of pushed and you know exactly what the deck's going to do from the very beginning, there's not really a margin to be okay. They're either usually really good or really bad. It just kind of comes with the design. We'll see what happens. Like obviously, like we've talked about in like Yu-Gi-Oh, like it's harder to do nerfs and buffs in Yu-Gi-Oh because they can't just outright like change the card, but in Hearthstone they can. So they just kind of need to push it in a better direction. I won't comment on design or anything like that because I think that's maybe up for interpretation of what people like. But quests being a beloved mechanic is like, I can understand why they would want to do it again. It also makes total sense because Ungoro is one of the most beloved expansions of all time, and maybe they're banking on nostalgia. There's a lot of reasons.
Sure.
I'm sure everyone has
and
their
people
own.
also just like games within a game, right? And I think the quests do like a good job of that, whether for better or for worse. But I think just inherently mechanically, I think it works.
They're cool. I'm a fan of them. When they're done well, I think they're fun. It's just it can lead to moments where it just feels really unsatisfying if they're basing the whole mechanic or the expansion on this mechanic. This is the first time doing one of these videos where you actually have experience with these quests. You may have not played all of them, but now you actually have gameplay experience with every single one, because as far as I am aware, you should have seen every single quest in this game during the Rarran's Rumble.
We had to have, because we had to beat every deck. So yeah, I think we did. Yeah.
I didn't pick this in any particular order. I just went to the Play Hearthstone website and just grabbed the cards. The first one so happened to be the Rogue one because it was the last one revealed. So let me give you everything for the Rogue deck.
Yeah, so this is Lie in Wait. This is shuffle cards into your deck 5 times, and your reward is Master Dusk. This was interesting. This was the one that Raffle and Day 9 played.
Yes.
And I remember, if I recall, I think the first time Gage and I played against this, we just demolished them. Like, it wasn't even close. And then the second time, they actually like got to do the thing with the quest. And the thing was like very ridiculous and fun and stupid. It's interesting because, like you said, we didn't play with fully optimized decks. So it's hard to, like, I know what was good when we played, kind of, but what actually, like, ends up manifesting, I think, is a different story. I remember when this deck, like, started to go off, it was kind of nuts, but I feel like the issue was, like, and maybe there's enough cards that can shuffle cards into your deck, and we just didn't have access to them. So I imagine the greater card pool might have more stuff. Would I be correct?
You would be correct.
Assumption?
So that's one of the things that why I thought this would be interesting is because you didn't actually get to see the entire card pool. Well, you could have, but you couldn't build your deck with the entire card pool because we have to have that limit. This one might have been, let me think about it for 1 second. I want to say that you had to utilize probably a decent portion of what they gave you in the set for this quest in particular.
Okay.
But I will say this. What do you think about the card in general? Like, regardless of your experience, do you think this card is playable currently in Hearthstone? Because maybe your experience is going to deter you from actually getting the right result here.
Yeah, like, I mean, in Yu-Gi-Oh, we always look for redundancy. So if you have enough cards that shuffle cards into your deck, then, like, sure. And then it's cool because then the hero power sort of, like, gets them out of your deck, because I would think from a consistency perspective, it kind of sucks that you have all these cards you're shuffling into your deck. But from my understanding, most of the cards you shuffle into your deck are, like, random shit that, like, when you draw it, it, like, does something. So you still get to draw a card. So the fact you still get the extra draw, I think, is, like, a really big deal. If you didn't get the draw, this card would be, like, unplayable, probably. I mean, you are still sort of at the mercy of RNG to an extent, because you're shuffling so many cards into the deck. The hero power, yeah, you get to draw 2, but it's still random what you're drawing. So you don't get to, like, pick the best ones. And that was sort of the issue with this when we played against Day 9 and Raffle, was that they shuffled a bunch of stuff into their deck, but then they couldn't get, like, the right things to, like, kill us. So,
okay.
This was, like, I'm, like, middle of the road on this one. Like, it's weird because it's, like, when it does the thing, it's fun, but, like, good is a different question.
Can I say something here real fast just to kind of give you like more context? I'm not coping when I say this. I think legitimately Death Knight was the best class that you guys could have got in the entire thing. I think Death Knight was the best class that anyone could have drafted. Not
that you're trying to sway my decision making or anything.
No, I will say this because Gage, as someone who plays High Legend Hearthstone, understands that Blood Death Knight specifically, was already like a tier 1 deck going into this. So the way that he had to build the deck was not that far off from what it was. So I will say for you, for context, your bias might be a little bit more skewed to meaning all the quests that you did not play were worse because Death Knight was that much better than everyone else's.
Yeah, but that makes this fun, right?
Exactly.
Because
so
then I might think maybe Blood Knight is still the best one. Who knows, right?
That's why I'm saying to you, like, I wouldn't necessarily base it off the experience that you went up against, because
of course
yours experience would be so much different than the actual standard metagame that we're currently seeing.
Yeah, of course. And then that assumption that I made prior to you telling me that was based on not only my experience, but thinking, like, wider.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
So, like, I think there's enough cards to make this, like, redundant that you can, like, hit this pretty easily, but I'm not, like, a super big fan of kind of the random element of it, and you're also, like, just throwing a bunch of, I don't know. I'm kind of like middle of the road of it.
Okay, that's fine.
Like,
that's fine.
It seemed fine.
Usually for these videos, it's like you have to see, like, you have to start comparing to.
I have to see everything. Yeah, so, exactly. We need something to start
obviously,
with.
I'm not going to tell you the answer to the very end, because, like, that's just
of course not.
How to do it. So we'll keep going on. We will go for these are just done in reverse reveal order. So again, no specific order here.
Reach it. Oh, this one was cool. So this is the priest one. Quest: cast 5 holy spells, reward life's breath, and then it's cool because it's 2 quests, because then you cast 5 shadow spells and get death's touch. Yep. And then you make, like, you make the big fucker, right? What's his name? Solitos or whatever.
Big fucker, yeah, Solitos.
Yeah. Which is a 5-mana 8/8 with Taunt, Reborn, and Battlecry. Summon a copy of this death rattle, deal 5 damage to a random enemy. And then there's also the 2 halves of it as well, which the 2 halves are what combine it, right? Yeah, Battlecry, summon a copy of this. You're holding both. So if you're just holding both halves, it makes the big guy, right?
Yeah.
You have to play one. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I remember this because I think this was an Amy Voxy.
Yes,
one?
Yes, it was.
I want to say. This guy was cool, and it didn't seem like there was a shortage of, even in our version, it didn't seem like there was a shortage of spells to do the quest, from what I recall. Maybe there was, like, lacking on 1 half, I think, but it seemed like for the most part, they were very easily able to achieve this.
I would agree with that. I
just liked this. I thought, like, conceptually, this was, like, a cool concept to have, like, this, like, fusion guy. Like, it's very Yu-Gi-Oh! In kind of a sense.
How good do you think it is?
Battlecry, you bring it back, and then it deals 5 damage. So you get 2 guys.
Also, I should remind you do know this, but for people who do not know, I should mention this. Quests automatically start in your opening hand. So you are -1 card in your mulligan, and you're basically spending the first turn playing your quest. Just so everyone is fully aware.
Also, if quests are good, everyone's doing that. So it's kind of equals out in that way.
Fair. But for the Yu-Gi-Oh people who are like, what's a quest?
Oh, like what's a quest? Sure,
I should
Dave's gonna have to put that at the beginning.
Yeah, put that at the beginning, just in case.
Okay. I guess the only issue that I see with this quest is you need to cast the 5 Holy and the 5 Shadow, and then you have to play all those cards in your deck. So that's already 10 cards if you're not counting about Discover's minimum, and then you need to play more, hypothetically, if you want to see them consistently enough to resolve them, which isn't like the end of the world. Like, I don't know if like Spell Priest is a thing, but maybe.
I would say that this is one of the few quests that, like for the Rogue one, right? The Rogue one, you have to run very specific cards to make this work because you have to shuffle cards back in your deck. Priest has enough density of like Holy and Shadow spells to make this kind of work.
That are like good.
Yeah, too. And Priest also has, luckily for them, the imbue cards from last expansion. If you remember, what their cards is that it turns their hero power to discover a spell, and you can get that really consistently. So like, if the issue came down to having enough critical mass of Shadow or Holy spells, that's not the issue with this quest. If there was an issue,
so my Yu-Gi-Oh brain is thinking like, how easy is it for decks to have like a transform or like a hex mechanic aside from like Shaman? Because the biggest issue like in Yu-Gi-Oh is like when you have a big guy and it has like all these like things and like keywords on it. If you just have a thing that just like ignores all that, then like the juice isn't worth the squeeze. So how common is that?
Let me think about this for a quick second.
It's not like this card's like the game winner, you know, like it can be a finisher, but it's not like this like ends the game.
Okay, so you're saying if there's enough density of transform effects, this quest reward doesn't feel really worth it because you kind of went through all of that just to get negated immediately.
Just for them to use like a 3 mana, 4 mana hex or whatever. Then it's like, all right, well then now you don't even get the death rattle. Like it just doesn't. I guess it still makes a copy, so like technically it kind of insulates against that. But.
Okay, so I will answer that question with 2 different answers. One, there is another card that will copy an elemental in your hand for 4 mana, so you can get another copy of the full quest in your hand. Okay. Now, the trade-off of that, of course, is asking yourself, is it really worth waiting the additional turn to copy it? But if you might need in certain matchups. The amount of transform effects in like that I can currently think of is very low. I can literally only think of hex. I'm trying my hardest to think about anything else here, but I think it's very low. Like, if you're asking how likely are you to get transformed with your quest reward, I would say it's extremely unlikely.
I remember there was that one guy, what is it? It's like the giant robot mech thing that summons like a copy of itself.
Giant robot mech thing. Summons a copy of itself.
Ziliax?
Oh, yeah, Ziliax. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, like that. This card reminds me of that, but it's like a worse version of it because that thing, I think we had Rush and Lifesteal and Divine Shield, and it summoned like a copy of itself or some shit. I don't remember. It had like a bunch of like crazy
Ziliax is very good. Yes.
Okay, yeah. This seems like worse Ziliax, but like, is worse Ziliax still good? Maybe. I like this better than the Rogue one, so I'm going to put it above Rogue for now.
Okay. That's fair.
I think you just also get to play better cards. I'm not sure how good the shuffle cards are, like of what is going into your deck. But I feel like on average, the Holy and Death spells or Shadow spells or whatever are probably better than shuffling random crap into your deck just for a quest.
I think so. I actually thought about this for a while ago. I think one of the problems with the Rogue quest, and again, this is not any relation to its power level, but shuffling cards in your deck does not impact the board. So it's like a really weird trade-off to try to get to this late game value engine, but you're not actually staying alive for that to happen. Theoretically, of course, right?
Theoretically.
So like, that's the trade-off there. Okay, this one's only 1 card. This is the Paladin one.
This one's fucking crazy, dude. Like, I wish we drafted this because this deck was insane. So this is Dive the Golakka Depths, if I pronounce that correctly. Yeah. It's a repeatable quest, which admittedly, I think Nimnim and I missed the fact that this is repeatable. I think we just thought this was summon 5 Warlocks. They all just get +1/+1, and that was the whole quest. I think we missed that when we were like evaluating.
I'm also going to add a little bit of context for you. When we did the Rarran's Rumble, we were on an older patch. It actually, in the older patch, was summoned 6 Murlocs.
So I remember it was 6. Yeah, the 5. So they actually reduced it, which is crazy that they like made this better because it was already good because like we only lost twice in the Rumble, and one of the losses was to this Murloc deck, and we were horrified to play them again in the finals because we knew they had this deck, and we're like, oh my god, we're gonna get bodied by the fucking Murlocs. This easily goes above Priest and Rogue, like straight up. This was so crazy how good it was. I don't even have to think about it. It's like there's so many. It seems like in our version, and obviously our version's not the full version, there were so many just like good Murlocs that you could play, and even if they were like decent or like like half good. The fact that you could just play one and it's like a fucking 8/8 for like 1 mana or something, like eventually you just lose. Like you can't keep up with that type of momentum. So yeah, I'm easily putting this one over the other two. This one was crazy good.
I think like based on the Rare and Rumble experience, I think everyone kind of went through the exact same thing as you. Like we saw the Murloc quest in real time and was going like, what are we doing against this?
Everyone freaked the fuck out.
The thing about what I'm going to call this deck like an aggro deck almost, but it's not really because it, it keeps scaling up, but it's easier to build a deck.
It's like an aggro deck with inevitability. That's the crazy part, right? Because it's like, if you're aggro, you finish the game, you win. But if you don't win, your stuff just becomes so big, your opponent can't beat it anyway. And so that's like the aggro player's dream, is that in the worst case scenario, if they have inevitability, like then they just win anyway.
Yes. I was going to say that in our format, we weren't optimizing our decks against Murlocs, and we weren't building the perfect control deck, which generally takes more time. So the Murlocs easily were one of the best decks in the game because you just put every Murloc in the deck and you were just chilling. And
the Murlocs like themselves are good. Like they're not like, most of them have like decent effects. Like there's the one that has like the drink or whatever. And like the drink was good. Like I just remember just getting overwhelmed by this, and it was crazy. And then we were wishing we played it because it seemed so fun to just play all these guys and they just kill everything.
It was good. It was good. Okay. We'll go to Quest Hunter.
Food Chain. Voxy Namey also played, so I got all 3 of theirs in a row. This is Quest, play a 1/3/5/7 attack beast. I think this would be a lot better in Constructed because I think the pool is a lot more limited for it. Shock was just get a bunch of guys and then they set their cost to 2. This one's so weird because if you don't draw well, this card is really bad.
That is fair.
But again, in Constructed, not our version of Constructed, but actual Constructed, maybe there's enough ways to like mitigate that. But even then, it just still, out of all of these, this one seems like the hardest one to pull off just because it's so specific. Like the Rogue one, shuffling stuff in, you just have to play shuffle cards. The Priest one, you just have to play Holy and Shadow spells, which you're probably already playing anyway, right? Like Food Chain, you specifically have to build your deck in this way. And like, I can see the number of games where you get like a 1, a 7, and a 3, and then you don't see a 5, and then you're like, well, guess I'm never resolving my quest, right?
That is fair. That is fair. I will say...
So I actually almost want to put this on the bottom out of all of them.
Interesting. Okay, so I think this is one of the more interesting ones when it came to like our tournament, because I do think the pool of running minimum of 10 of the new set actually hindered this deck quite a bit.
I think so too.
So I'm not going to tell you how good it is in current standard, but I think, well, I will tell you at the end. I guess the way you want to think about it is, do you think the payoff is actually worth the amount of effort you're putting into your deck, right? Like,
I'm not even getting to the payoff part. Like, I'm just getting to like really consistently play this.
Okay,
like the payoffs are relevant if you can't resolve this quest like efficiently enough, right? So like I don't even have to look at the payoff, because if you can't get there, the payoff doesn't fucking matter. And so I could just imagine playing a hunter deck 100 games in a row, and like a decent amount of those games, I'm not going to see one of the 4 things that I need, and then I'm just sitting here like, what am I doing? Like, why am I even playing this quest? I could just play a different card at that point.
Interesting.
That's just the Yu-Gi-Oh brain.
Okay, so do you think then that this is purely just a design mistake based on how they did this? Because
a design mistake? No, I don't think so. I mean, it's like, it's flashy and fun, right? Okay. It's like, it's a cool effect and everything. But I think it's just, it's one of those things where out of everything I've seen so far, that it's just like the hardest to resolve quest consistently, I feel like. And maybe I don't know the card pool enough. Like maybe there's enough stuff that it is pretty easy to pull off. But just like on face value, not knowing like the rest of the cards, everything else is so much easier to like deck build for. And that you're going to lose games because you just can't resolve your quest, and then you can't get to shock, right? So then like, what's the point? So I don't think it's a design mistake. I think it's just, I think it's just the hardest of the quests to like consistently resolve, if you will.
No, that's fair. Okay. All right. Here is the Warlock one.
This is Escape the Underfell, which was you play 6 temporary cards and you're rewarded with the Underfell Rift. So I think Rothful and Day 9 had this?
No, me and CG had this.
Oh, no, you guys did.
Yep.
We only played you guys once. I don't think you resolved this against us. I don't remember you resolving this against us.
I can't remember if I did it or not.
We may have just killed you before you got a chance to be honest with you.
Might have been true depending on what
Sorry to rub it in.
No, I was trying to think what deck you guys would have played.
I can't remember what we played against this.
All right, well, I guess you're.
But I don't remember you even resolving the quest.
Okay.
From what I recall. Okay. So anyway, Temporary cards. I'm assuming again in the greater card pool, there's many more temporary cards, probably better ones as well. And so this kind of goes in with like the priest one, right? Because if you're playing Warlock and you're already playing temporary cards, hypothetically, then this is just a natural inclusion because it's free, right? It's like you may as well just play this as well. And then the things it gets are like pretty good, even though it's random, if I recall, right? It's just like it summons like it's like a rift that summons guides.
The rift is in the bottom right if you want to.
Oh, I see it. Oh, there we go. Select the rift to activate. Throw a card in to summon two. Yeah. So you ditch a card to play randomly two of these three guys, which are all pretty good, all things considered. So that means you have a 66% chance to get one that immediately affects the board, because the Fellhorn is obviously like the weakest in that regard, because the other two are a lot more proactive. I think I put this one in the middle. I think I put this above Rogue and Hunter. Okay. Because again, the Rogue one, you're playing all the random shuffle stuff, and I don't even know if you want that stuff in your deck. And maybe there are cards that you do want to shuffle into the deck. I'm just not aware of them. But just like without knowing that, I just don't like that the Rogue does that. Yeah. I like the Warlock kind of like in the middle of the road.
Okay, sounds good. All right. Here is Demon Hunter.
Unleash the Colossus. Oh, I remember this one. Deal exactly 2 damage to an enemy on your turn 15 times, and you get the big spider thing. This quest sucked. I think this one was really bad. I think when Gage and I rated these, this was like one of our lowest ones. I feel like it's like having to deal 2 damage 15 times just seems like so egregious. Okay. And like I get the payoff for it, but like even then, I feel like that's so limiting with your deck building.
Well, we will have a discussion with this after you go through.
I bet we will, because I know you have your feelings about Demon Hunter in general. So
this one's a weird one.
This one's really weird, because like dealing damage to your opponent's stuff isn't bad. I'm assuming when it says to an enemy, that means their minions as well as their guy.
Yeah, enemy.
Right? Okay, just want to clarify. Yeah. I don't know if this one just like, it's a combination of, I feel like 1, it takes too long, and 2, the fact you have to limit your deck building to play all these cards that deal exactly 2 damage, I feel like is very limiting in a lot of ways. It's almost like they have like an aggro quest with like a control requirement, because it has to be 15 times. That seems like it's so many. Unless there's like one card that says deal 2 damage 4 times to something. So right? Then like, okay, sure.
One of the interactions with this quest is that if I have a card that says deal 2 damage to every minion on board, it would proc it multiple times depending on how many minions are on board. So it's,
sure. So I imagine there's like a board wipe that might just be shield do damage to everything, right?
Yeah.
So then like you get like halfway there. But even then, that might not even like kill stuff. You're just like feeding the quest.
Yeah. So then it comes down to, is the quest payoff worth it for what you're doing?
I want to say no. I think this is still better than Hunter, but I think I'm going to put it below Rogue actually.
Okay. You're keeping track for this for me, right? So
yeah, I'm keeping track. Okay, Demon.
Okay, let's quick little recap here for anyone who's curious. He has Paladin, then Priest, then Warlock, then Rogue, then Demon Hunter, and then Hunter. Okay. I think that's pretty safe analysis. Again, I don't want to go too much into it until
yeah, of course.
But
You're gonna do your spiel at the end. I know. Restore the what? This one was so funny. Fill your board on 3 of your turns, and then your reward is the Everbloom, which is a 3 mana 2/5 weapon that says after your hero attacks, give your minions +2/+2. I was also not a fan of this.
Okay.
Day9 and Raffle queued this deck up against us, I want to say like 4 times, and I think the only other loss we had was to this deck, but we beat it like 3 out of 4 times or 4 out of 5 times, because they just couldn't get, it was a combination of 1, we would either freeze them and they couldn't ever actually attack us, or 2, they just couldn't fill the board enough to actually like get the quest done, and then they never had like an opportune moment to like, if they could play it, they had like no other cards left to like just buff everything. So I am not a huge fan of this one. I think the quest is very easy to fulfill, I will say, but this one was, because the problem is it just seemed like there's so many board wipes and board clears, and if you don't have anything, this card does basically nothing. So you need to make sure that you have enough minions for this to be worth it, because if you're just buffing one guy, like you could have just played any other card that does that. And I don't really like cards that and this is like the Yu-Gi-Oh player brain. Like, we like all of our cards to be efficient by themselves, and if they have incidental synergy with other stuff, that's just great. Like, that's an upside. And so this card is like not really in that category. I think it still goes above Demon Hunter because it's easy to fulfill, and the reward can be, it feels like a snowbally card. It feels like you don't really even need this to win the game most of the time, but like if you have it, you're just like, it's like overkill. That's like kind of what it felt like to me. Like when they resolved it, we couldn't win, but every other game they didn't resolve it and we just destroyed them because they just had no way to get to this. I think I'm gonna put this dead center. I think I'm gonna put it above Rogue but beneath Warlock.
Okay, middle of the pack. All right, that makes sense.
Yeah, just middle of the pack. Like it's fine. I feel it. Putting above rogue, I feel like. Because the rogue stuff is like, it's more random.
The rogue one's controlled randomness, for the record. Like, you are shuffling specific
it's controlled
stuff.
randomness. Like, I get that. Yeah. But it's like, it's also, you don't really, I'm going to put it below rogue, actually. I think you convinced me. So I'm going to put Druid here. Because the thing is with rogue, this, like, you can still play your game plan and use your hero power to get 2 random things in addition to whatever your game plan is. Where this, the Everbloom, like, relies on you having the minions. And if your opponent just keeps wiping you, this card does nothing. Yeah.
Next one is one that you played.
Oh my God, this card was so fun, even though we killed ourselves in the one game again, when we were actually going to probably turn the game around that turn. I can't believe that, but this card was cracked. This card was so crazy. I love this card. Is it better than the Paladin one, though? That's like, I don't know. The Paladin one just seemed like unbelievably good. The biggest issue with this is this does take a little bit of time. I imagine there's better Discover cards or more Discover cards to make this more consistent. Because that was like the biggest issue I think we were running into is we couldn't like play, like we were lacking some Discovers. So we were kind of worried about how consistent this was going to be, but it ended up working out. Okay. I'm going to put it below Paladin. I think the Paladin one was just like so crazy strong that I really want to put the Mage one above it, but I think the Paladin one might be better. I might change my mind at the end, but for now, I'll put it here.
That's fine. That's fine. It's Paladin, Mage, Priest, Warlock, Rogue, Druid, Demon Hunter, then Hunter. So you think Hunter has a 20% win rate? Okay.
The way you worded it, I don't know. I might have to change my mind now.
That's fine. That's fine. No, it's just remember what the lowest quest right now is a 20% win rate. So just remember that.
Okay. Sure.
Next one is the Warrior one, which I don't know if you even saw the actual reward.
I think we killed you before you got to resolve this. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I remember we actually rated this pretty highly, and I'm not sure if we did that for content or for because we thought it was good. But I remember, like, I'm pretty sure Gage was going to draft this if you guys didn't.
Listen, I feel like everybody went through the same. Maybe not Voxy and Amy, but Rafa was even telling it to me. Like, we all, like, I saw the Warrior quest and I said, I don't even care if I win. I just want to play this quest. Like, that's all I care about.
Yeah, no, I think we were all in that same camp. Yeah. So for those who don't know, it's survive 10 turns, and your reward is Latervius, Gaze of the City, which is a 5-mana 8/8 that's on Battlecry. Get 2 random Jury to Ungoro quest rewards and shuffle the rest into your deck. And some of the quest rewards are crazy. I mean,
which ones in particular? I'd be curious to hear which ones you think are really good.
I think Amara is nuts because it sets your health to fucking 40. That's insane. Time Warp could be okay. I'm not sure if it's that good in Warrior, but it may be in other decks.
Okay.
What else? The Sulfuris one, the weapon seemed crazy.
I'm just going to tell you right now, the best one's Time Warp, but it's not even close.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah,
oh, okay.
It's just very good.
I just wasn't sure because Warrior could play a very slow game, so I wasn't sure what an extra turn would really like do for them.
I'll just say that if this quest said Battle Cry get Time Warp, I think it might be a better quest.
It would be the best one.
Yeah.
Okay. Not the best, but it would be better.
It'd be better. Okay. Like if I got a guaranteed Time Warp for surviving 10 turns, I think it would be significantly better.
Galvadon adapting 5 times seems fun. That seems cool.
Okay.
Queen Carnassa shuffling 20 Raptors into the deck seems kind of weird, but okay. The Barnabas the Stomper seems nuts because everything's free, so that's good. Crystal Core could be okay depending on the way your deck's built. Mega Fin's very funny, and Nether Portal also seems funny. So I think like my favorites are Time Warp, Amara, and Barnabas if I had to pick, and Sulfuris. I think those are my 4. And Galvadon's like also there too. I think the other 4 are kind of like whatever.
Okay.
But like if you get 2, that means you have a pretty good chance to hit like 1 good one. It's just like if the meta's so aggressive, which I don't know if it is or not, but if it is, you're just never going to see this card. And that's I think what happened when we played. I think we just rushed you guys down and you just couldn't like actually even finish the quest. We also froze you like 4 billion times.
We'll get to this quest when I describe.
Oh, I bet we will. I bet we will.
We'll get to again. Not coping, but we'll talk about it when we get there.
The quest seems like something that Warrior wants to do though, which is survive 10 turns, and it can do that like pretty easily. I want to say. I just don't like that the reward is like kind of random. I kind of wish that you could just like pick the ones you wanted, which might make it way too good.
Time Warp as a card is a very scary card. Like it's tough to have that in a game where I can't interact with my opponent's turn. I think maybe in design they probably had it at Discover because just to make it more consistent and feel better for surviving that long. But I think they quickly realized that like there might be significant problems if they leave it like that. I could be lying. I have no idea what they end up doing. But Time Warp and Amara, like Amara's kind of this like weird quest where it's like, if I survive 10 turns and I play Amara, I'm probably winning the game. Like I don't know how you beat at that point. So it's
right.
The variance is so important to a quest like this.
It's like this card, like this card could be nuts or it could be ass, you know? I mean, I guess you shuffle everything else into the deck, so you technically have them, but I'm going to put it like kind of in the middle. I think I'm going to put it below Rogue.
Okay.
So it's like bottom middle.
You have 2 more to go here, just for the record.
Okay. I don't like the randomness of like the rewards. If it was discover, like pick them, I think it would be a lot better. Or like you get to pick them just straight up. But this is the Shaman one. This is Shaman. Okay. Spirit of the Mountain. Plays 7 minions of unique types, and you get Ashelon. I think Day 9 and Raffle resolved this against us once.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure they did.
Okay. And how did it do against you?
I forget if we won that game or not. I think those are the only 2 games we lost. The one that was against the Rogue and then the Paladin. So we beat this deck twice because we played them twice because we played them in the semis and not you guys. So playing 7 minions of unique types, I don't want to say that's as bad as the Hunter requirement, but
it's difficult.
It is still very restricting in deck building because you might want to play minions that are the same type just because they're good. And then you run into that similar issue where if you can't get that 6th or 7th minion of a different type, then you actually don't get to like even play this guy at all.
Yes.
Which is, so like unless the game goes super long, but at that point, depending on what deck you're playing, it may not matter because if you're playing like Warrior or something, they're probably just going to like outgrind you anyway. I'm going to put this one pretty low actually. Like my biggest issue is the 7 minions with unique types. And maybe that's not that hard to pull off actually, but I'm just really like, it's the consistency thing for me. Because like if you really want to resolve this and you just can't hit it, I feel like that really nerfs like how good this card is. So I think I'm going to put it below Druid. You can pretty consistently. I like the payoff for this better. I think I'm going to put this above Druid. It doesn't seem impossible to do this, but it definitely seems like hard. I'll put it above Druid. So I'm going to put it below Warrior. Oof.
Don't worry.
I'm going to put it below Rogue, above Warrior. I think that's what I'm going to do.
That's fair. Okay. It's the last one.
It's the other Death Knight one, right? Or is it Death Knight the same?
This Death Knight only had one.
Oh, it only had one, but it's because it has the rune thing where you pick the different types. That's right.
Yes.
We got to do this once, I believe. I don't think we actually ever resolved it more than that. Maybe twice, but I don't think we ever actually played Tyrax, which is funny. But anyway, this is Reanimate the Terror, which you spend 18 corpses to summon or get Tyrax Bone Terror, which is a 5/8/8. Which says Death Rattle, open Terror's grave. It has Death Rattle and resummon Tyrax. So basically you just have like an infinite body, essentially.
Yeah. Infinite body.
Well, for 3 activations, because it has 2 durability or whatever.
I think based on how it works after playing it in standard, I think it goes like once the location dies, it becomes Tyrax, and then it starts the location chain all over again once it dies. Like it's actually infinite.
So it is actually infinite.
Yeah.
Okay. Spending 18 corpses is not hard, and I actually understand how that works, so that's good. It's not difficult because you have like the axe that causes you to spend some. You have the board wipe that causes you to spend a ton. There's a few other cards that spent corpses, and obviously there might be even more in actual standard. This one didn't seem too difficult to pull off. I think the weird part about this is that I think we summoned Tyrax, but I think we like won that turn or the next turn, so I don't even think we like needed it, which is weird. It just seemed like Death Knight was so good we didn't even like need. I'm pretty sure in the Frost Death Knight deck we didn't even play the quest. I think we just like played aggro and just killed people with it. So this one's weird. It's like, it's easy to pull off, or pretty easy to pull off, I want to say. But I think the problem is it's like, by the time you actually get there, you probably just won the game anyway. I will be biased and put it high up, and I don't care if I get flamed for it. I'm going to put it below Mage. I still like the Mage one better. So obviously I'm going to be biased here. I still think it's pretty good, all things considered. It's like a pretty easy requirement, and the payoff is there. It's just if you actually like need the payoff, that's like the trade-off. So I think that the reason this would be bad is if it's just like too slow, because the game is just so fast that like you don't need to actually play this guy to like win the game. But he's a very good payoff. He's a very good payoff.
Okay, so are you keeping that list, by the way, before I say it out loud? You want to keep that list? Again, one of them has a 56% win rate. The other side of it is a 20%. And we're gonna go through.
Yeah, I'll lock it in. I feel pretty good about it.
Okay, so you're going in. Paladin at the highest, Mage. This is like descending through win rate. So Paladin, Mage, DK, Priest, Warlock, Rogue, Shaman, Warrior, Druid, Demon Hunter, Hunter.
As much as I love Mage, I think the Paladin quest was better.
We'll go from top bottom. I think top bottom makes so much sense.
You don't want to go bottom top?
No, we'll go top bottom because I think the top one's very obvious because you got it because it is Paladin. So
I did get it.
Paladin
that just seemed crazy, dude.
So it's really interesting. I'm gonna go through like not only Rare and Rumble here, but the experience and standard, and then you could obviously give your thoughts as someone who doesn't play this game because this is. Okay. I think a lot of this comes down to design, and I think a lot of this comes down to just the like how these are actually going to be playable, and if they buff them too much, how disgusting will this end up being? Paladin's weird because when we played it through Rare and Rumble, like I said, it was at 6 and then they went to 5. So at some point during the testing, they thought the Paladin quest was not going to be good enough, which is
hilarious because in the Rumble we thought it was nuts.
Yeah, we thought,
and then they made it better.
Exactly. So the thing about Paladin, especially the first day of the expansion, it looked like an easy like tier 1 deck. Now it's getting a little worse because it's good. It's just there's like better things you could do to win the game. But in lower ranks, because people are not as efficient, they're not only playing just the straight up win, like with the combo deck or whatever they want to play. It ends up being a really poor experience for the player. Because like you said, the problem with this Paladin deck is that there's like an inevitability the more you play with it. You can keep removing, but at some point in the game, you have to swap tempo and actually turn the corner. And because people in lower ranks are not as accustomed to it, they just want to have fun with their like meme deck.
Sure.
You kind of just get ran over. Meaning that this Paladin quest is kind of this weird spot of like, it's too good at lower ranks and it's like maybe not good enough at higher ranks, but that doesn't discredit of like how annoying it ends up being. So
that's interesting.
The Paladin, like, I don't know why they buffed it. Again, I won't ask the people who tested it, whatever. It's not my job. I don't really care. Probably what they have to end up doing. I would love to see how they design cards and what they go through like testing and stuff. It'd be really interesting.
Yeah.
They've never shared it, and it's like we'll probably never get that information, but that's fine.
Sure.
I think what they need to do as someone who's played with it now through multiple experiences is either they have to make it so played Murlocs count for the quest, because the problem is like if there's a bunch of Murlocs, like you probably saw that if they die, they also go to the quest because they summon a bunch of stuff, and everything you summon it just makes the quest go faster and faster. So even if you remove the board, they're still progressing the quest, which is like is so backwards. And the most important part about this entire quest is, and this is something I don't think you really picked up on, is that this is the only quest that doesn't have to spend 5 mana. This quest, you play 1 mana and it's done.
Right. It's done. It's just out there forever.
So that kind of shit like is insane for tempo. It's just very, very good. And as you could probably say, this is the best quest so far in Ungoro. So far. I can promise you already there will be buffs going forward, but
buffs or nerfs?
I do not know if they will nerf the Paladin quest, because what they might end up doing is buffing other things around it to see how it actually lands. If I'm a part of the balancing team, I wouldn't want this in the game at a high level or like very prominently, because it's an interesting discussion, because like card gamers talk about this a lot, where it's like, do you balance around the majority of players or do you balance around the high legend players that actually know how to play the game at the highest level?
Yep.
My opinion is like, I'd rather balance the game across like the majority, because majority of people play the game.
I agree.
So
majority of people play the game.
Paladin is not a fun experience for a lot of people to go up against. And I want people to play the game. Like, I don't even own the game, and it's just a greater thing for me for more players to play the game, because that means, you know, obviously it's a good investment for me. It's good for everybody. It's good for business. I don't think that the average player wants to go against probably the least nuanced deck of all time. Like, it is very obvious how you play it. There's not a lot of decision making here. You just put the Murlocs in, you just play Murlocs, and then you're going face pretty much on average. So
I would say, as a counter argument to that, though, I don't think that's inherently bad from the perspective of, I think card games especially, need to have decks that are on-ramps for like newer or like less skilled players to give them a chance against the higher tier players that don't require as much like critical thinking or like strategy, because then it like helps get them in the ecosystem, and then maybe they pit it off to something else. Because Yu-Gi-Oh's had that a few times where there have been like very beginner friendly decks in quotes that could compete at high levels, but if you're going up against a more skilled player, you're probably going to lose, right? But it got them into the game. So, and Yu-Gi-Oh especially has like a big new player problem because it's so complex.
Sure.
So like, yes, I understand in terms of like the majority of the players, it might be a miserable experience. I still think that shouldn't discount the fact that there should be decks that are easier to play than others that still get people into the game.
So here's my counter argument to your counter argument. The entire point of quests, I would argue, is that exact purpose. Quests are inherently really easy to design or build a deck for, right? Like, even the Beast Hunter deck, it's not a hard deck to make. It's not a hard deck to play. Like there's a couple decisions.
But it has
of
a
like,
20% win rate. So
well, we don't know that yet. But I think there's a weird, I don't know if it's design or just how they want the game. It's obviously design, but I don't know if it's just inherently this quest or how they want the game to play, but it feels bad from somebody who wants to play more of like an attrition based game to see like a deck that just constantly gets bigger and bigger for literally no reason just to play Murlocs. So like it's a weird design to have. And I feel like as a brand new player going against it, I wouldn't feel good about going against it whatsoever because the inevitability right at the front of the game, turn 1, has to feel bad. Like if you've gone against it 10 times today and you see it again, you're gonna be like, I don't want to play this game anymore. Like
sure, I'm not saying that like this is the solution, but I think like on like a more macro level, what I'm saying is like
I would agree with you. I think it's important to have an easy deck.
This is not a good like example for like what my argument is, but I still think that should exist. Is my point.
I got you. Okay, I'm gonna go through your list here. So Mage is second.
Yeah. So Mage is second.
Let me find where Mage
What's
is.
second?
Hold on. Okay. Mage has 2 different archetypes for this. Well, 3 different archetypes. Okay. The highest win rate one is the spell only version, which is basically just no minions.
Which makes sense.
That has a 42% win rate. That is, I think, the 3rd highest quest.
I was close. I didn't get it though.
It is the 3rd highest quest. Here's the problem with Mage. Mage unfortunately has this problem of the randomness actually doesn't work out the way you're hoping majority of the time. It's very fun. I think it's a really well designed quest. I think it's exactly what they wanted it to be. It's just not a consistent way of finishing off games because of just how the quest interacts. You saw it firsthand, it hit you in the face, but often like the discovering of cards is really good when you can mana cheat it, but if the mana is not actually helping you win the game, it's like it can't be that good of a quest. But if their inherent design was to make a very fun quest, they did a great job. I think it's the most fun quest to play with.
I think so too.
So
yeah, like that was the reason I picked it. I mean, obviously I played Mage when I played Classic, but like I just saw that like, oh, this looks like for content, this looks ridiculous, and I think we delivered in that regard.
I 100% agree. I think regardless of win rate for Mage, I think they did a very good job. Like I think they could easily buff it to make it 1 less discover. They can do a couple things to help it a little bit, but the overall package of what the deck is and what people want to play with, I think they did a great job. I'm a huge fan of it.
It's interesting you say that though, because it's like when Nim and I played it, it didn't feel like that was an issue with it. Like there were a couple times where we had some bad hits on the Discover, but like for the most part, it felt like everything was just pretty like average, if not above average. So it's interesting.
Like remind yourself that when we played against in the Rarran's Rumble, this is one of the biggest things people forgot about this entire tournament. And this is kind of what the incentive was from me and Hat's perspective was we want to showcase how fun Hearthstone is. We weren't trying to kill you. We were trying to have a fun game of Hearthstone between multiple quests. Of course. Sorry, like this quest is not competitive against most of the decks on ladder right now. Like it's fucking brutal.
That's funny.
So
that's sad.
You may high roll every once in a while, but you need to high roll consistently. You also have to have it consistently done around turn 5, turn 6. Like you need to get it going. And by that time, the game already might be over. So it's like,
right. So is the meta just very aggressive at the moment that's why?
It's there's a lot of really competitive decks that play like for 5 mana as the highest cost card.
Wow.
There's other ones that we didn't even see it in like the Rarran's Rumble. There's a deck there's a 1 card in Priest. It's called, I think, Wilted Willow, which says it's a 7 mana 7/7, and it says when an enemy is healed, attack that enemy. There's an OTK you can consistently do with that card on turn 7.
OTK, you say, huh?
So like, just think of that for perspective, right? You're skipping your turn 1 to do this quest, and then by the time you're finishing it, you're dead. So it's like maybe in a long value-oriented game where 2 players are just trying to find out as much resources as possible, and they're getting like then it starts being a lot better. But as soon as someone actually is legitimately trying to kill you from hand, like you don't stand a fucking chance. Like it's just it's the processing. Okay. So.
That makes
Mage,
sense.
I think design-wise, Mage is really great. It will probably need a little bit of help to try to get it a little bit more competitive. I don't know where they want to put it, but I think it's fine. Let's talk about DK here because that's your third one.
It just felt like you got cards after cards after cards, which from a Yu-Gi-Oh player perspective.
Yeah, when I was playing it, like I'm posting this video relatively soon, where I try to win with every single quest on ladder because like I said, it was very difficult. Mage's biggest problem was my hand was always full, so it's like
we had that problem. We had to like burn cards just to get more cards multiple times.
But that's fun, right? Yeah. Like that's a fun way of playing the game.
It's fun.
So they did a good job. Let's talk about DK real fast. DK is kind of just not on the list. No one plays it. So it's really hard
just at all.
So like you said, I actually remember from Rarran's Rumble when this happened. I was spectating this. You played it and then it got immediately transformed and it was like, what the fuck did we just do? So this one's tough to give you like like you got it right, you didn't get it right, because the deck that it's played in was almost the exact same thing Nim built. But
oh, really? Wait, which one? The spaceship one or the
spaceship one?
Okay,
the spaceship one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just like, why am I playing this quest if it's actually just weaker than every card in my deck? I'd rather have just another card that's better. So
well, as we felt with the Frost Death Knight, like we're like, why are we even playing this card? Like we can be more aggressive. So.
Exactly. It just didn't feel great. I think
no one plays it, just like in general. That's crazy.
No one plays it. It is, in my opinion, the least like it's the most uninspired quest out of all of them. I could understand that they were trying to go for some kind of corpse, and that corpse keeps like morphing back into something, which is kind of unique. But like, it just there's no point to run it. There's literally no point to run it.
So is it technically the lowest then?
You could maybe count it as the lowest, I guess.
If it's not on there, technically.
It's a weird line, because if you slot it into the playable Death Knight deck already, it's still around a 50% win rate, right? Like it's tough, because it's like that card probably lowers the win rate, but it's not enough where it's like it's actually detrimental to the overall build. Like you'll probably be okay. It just doesn't feel worth the payoff. It doesn't feel worth. It's not fun. Like that's my problem with the design of this card, this quest.
It's just kind of boring, right? Because it's like you're already spending corpses anyway, so it's not like here's just an incentive for spending corpses. Like okay, whatever. It doesn't like make you play differently. Or like the Paladin one, like you're playing Murlocs, right? There's like an incentive to play not a traditional Paladin. I don't know if Murloc Paladin was a thing before, but like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, I just feel like this one's very uninspired. So it doesn't have a playable deck, so this one's kind of a weird wild card. I don't really know how to handle this one, but it's not bad.
Let the comments decide. That's their problem.
It's not it's not bad. It's just not played. It's just not competitively viable enough to actually see play in the Death Knight deck. Now, all right, let's go to Priest, which is your fourth highest. Priest is currently the third lowest quest at 28% win rate, which is
correct.
Which is actually surprising. I thought, especially after playing it,
good.
It does seem good.
It seems good.
It's weird, because just like the Death Knight one, you kind of run a lot of like spells already, and a lot of them end up being holy. They end up being shadow.
Like you just play that quest, yeah.
And even worst case scenario, right? It's like you just play it as like the 2 8/8s, and then you do a ton of damage. There's also a synergy with a card they released in the set that can copy its death rattle, do a ton of damage.
Ooh, that's cool. From
me playing it, like this, for the record, by the way, when I did that video, this one's gonna be the longest to actually do. Which is shocking, because I thought it would have been a completely different one, because we're not even at the lowest win rate one yet. The problem ended up being was by the time I actually finished it, I felt like I was already dead on board. And even if I played it, they would just kind of just kill me over the top. So like having those taunts did not really feel great. That is probably the symptom of like where the game is at currently, because I think both of us agree with, by just looking at it, the quest actually looks like it's pretty good. If they want to make it a little bit, I think it's really well designed, for the record too. I don't know how you feel about it.
I do too. Yeah, I like the design.
I think the way that they're going to probably make it better is by just making it 4 shadow spells to get the final reward, because
make it a bit easier to resolve.
Make it easier to resolve. It's faster to get the card that copies another version of it, so you have 2 copies to kind of reinsurance the fact that you have like a good win condition. I don't think it's very far off. I'm just shocked of how low it actually ended up being. But yeah, unfortunately, it's the third lowest.
That's shocking. Yeah, I wouldn't have, like, obviously, you know, what the fuck do I know? I'm a Yu-Gi-Oh player. But I mean, I'm just shocked it was that low. Well, to be honest with you. This is
why I thought this video would be. I was actually going to wait to do this video until like they patched and stuff. But I think it's cool because you have experience of playing against the cards. So it's like,
right, exactly. Where I usually don't have that at all.
So, exactly. Yeah. And I want you to, for sure. I would like you to rate the cards in the way that you basically saw them, other than the Murloc one, because I think that's the only one that got changed. So it's cool. Okay, you did Warlock after Priest. Warlock is the 5th lowest quest win rate with 30%.
Oh, you said fifth. I see. As soon as you said 5th, I'm like, I got it, but you said lowest instead of highest. Shit.
Warlock is. This is what I said to CGB when we drafted it after playing a couple of games in Rarran's Rumble. This is where I'm going to start coping slightly here. I think the problem with the Warlock one is that it's very feast or famine. Like, you need a really good opening hand to get that quest down. And if you don't get that quest down soon enough, it feels like it does literally nothing in the context of a game. It's great to like throw away a card that's like nothing and then you make something of it. But like that is not going to impact the game enough if you complete it on like turn 8.
And that's like a testament to how fast the game is. So like if in a slower meta game, that might actually be okay.
I don't know about slower metagame. I think the problem with the Warlock quest is you need it done on turn 5. Like, you just need it done. You need to start transitioning these cards that are super cheap and you don't want to play into good cards as it transitions from mid game to late game. In my opinion, if they're going to do anything for this, they should buff it to 5 temporary cards rather than 6. But then that's a weird line to go through because it might end up being just too good. We're going to have to see how
it's so funny how changing one number by one digit in a card game can make such a difference, right?
It's massive, right? Because like the difference of turn 6 to turn 7 is 7 mana. So one turn earlier could be everything. And that's kind of the weird thing about quest lines, or quests, I should say, not quest lines, is that the design really limits you to what you can do. Because if the quest ends up being too good, then it's really frustrating to play against. And if it's too slow, then it's like, what's the point of making the quest to begin with?
Yeah, of course.
Next, you have Rogue. I hate to say this to you, Rogue is the lowest win rate quest. It's not even close.
Really?
Rogue has a 20% win rate. What is the problem with Rogue? Rogue is interesting. I kind of alluded to it very early where I said the problem with Rogue is by shuffling stuff in your deck, you're not actually adding anything to the board. You're kind of just waiting for that thing to happen. So by the time you get your quest reward, which could be actually way later than turn 5, depending on what your hand is, you have to kind of get a good enough hand to actually get it done. It could just be over and like you did nothing the whole game and then you just died. And that seems to be the commonality between every game I played with the quest rogue when I was trying to win with it, was like, you just don't feel like you're doing anything and it feels miserable. How do you solve this issue is a great question, because you kind of need more of a density of shuffle cards in your deck, or you have to make the payoff infinitely better for the reward. If I'm going through all that effort for a grindy game that I want to set up so I can survive 10 more turns to force my opponent to deal with these constant turtles that go back in my deck, I need to survive. So like maybe you make it so you get more armor from the hero card. I'm not really sure how they're going to solve this problem. I feel like this quest is in like a dire need to actually get a lot more cards added to the game for it. Kind of like Warlock, maybe it gets better as you add more cards that shuffle cards into your deck. There's a couple things you can change, but yeah, it's just the 20% win rate. What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts?
I think maybe I overvalued like how many other shuffle cards there are. Like I agree with you that like when you're playing these types of cards, they don't do anything to the board. But I guess I just figured that those cards would be more better, like just better or more consistent just generally than what they actually are, or like what they actually end up being. So yeah, like you said, I think if there's better cards to support it, it can be a good quest. And I think that's where I sort of like tiered it in my mind. Okay, but that's fair. It makes sense. Like the biggest thing is like you don't want like what do they call it in like your games? It's like they're like 5 or 6 mana cards that are like do nothing cards, right?
No,
and it's
like vanillas?
You know. Yeah, exactly. So it's like you need it to be like you want these cards to be actually doing something. And like even though those other cards are like setup cards, most of the time they just feel so bad because you're just not doing anything. So I think it makes sense. I think it like it's unfortunate, but you know, so I guess that's the design of it.
Yeah, we'll have to see how they end up doing it. It's funny.
I'm curious how they're gonna fix it is the thing. Yeah.
I think a lot of us are extremely excited to see what this next patch looks like. I'm gonna be honest, because I don't know if you can really get from the vibe here, and I kind of mentioned it before we started recording. This is probably the weakest set we've had in a very long time, and it's very unfortunate to see what is kind of doing. Like it's even worse that the Murloc one ended up being the best one, because it's like the least not the least inspired, but the least
it's just like it's innovative the most boring one. Like it's just you don't like want it playing a bunch of guys. You know,
we haven't even got through what the other good decks are in this set, this metagame are, and I obviously
we haven't.
So. I can't wait to see what they end up doing for the patch notes. Anyways, let's continue going so we don't take up too much time. Next, you have Shaman. Shaman is the 4th lowest win rate quest in the entire game.
I was close. Shit.
You actually weren't really close on that one.
I was close. I was like 6 on that one. So, okay.
I'm going to take basically what Killer described this quest as, and I think it's a really good interpretation of it. Shaman's quest reward is worse than the Paladin one, and you have to go through infinitely more hoops to get it. It literally
that was a vibe I got too. Yeah.
The game that you probably saw in Rarran's Rumble probably made a lot more sense because you were probably playing Blood DK, or you're probably playing not the Frost one, I'm going to imagine. And then therefore the adapts start to be a little bit like better because the game's going for longer. They're getting more value from it. What I tried to win with the Shaman quest on ladder, what it felt like was by the time I got to the quest reward, I was dead. And if I got to play the quest reward, adapts are a mechanic from 2017. You actually didn't say them out loud, which is fine. But if you look through them,
I knew what they were.
There's no lifesteal. There's no rush, meaning it's hard to catch up back on board. Like you went through all of that in the hopes that you would survive this weird grindy game of Hearthstone, but without having lifesteal in the pool and or rush, you're putting yourself in a position where you're probably still going to lose the game. Like you
Can I
have
ask a question? Did Adapt exist before lifesteal? Is that why it's not in the pool, or did they just not put it in the pool?
Yes, lifesteal as a mechanic, like as a keyword, was added the very next set. Lifesteal was in the game, but it wasn't like a keyword yet. Rush was added.
I wonder if they would go back and like edit that and add it to the adaptation.
So it's interesting, right? Like I feel like they should. It's a virtual card game. They could easily do that. I don't think anyone in Wild's going to be like, holy fuck, I can't believe they ruined my adapt by adding Rush and lifesteal. I think that's just incorrect. There's also just options here that are just absolutely useless. Like I don't care about getting like a 1/1 or summoning 2 1/1 plants at this point in the game. The other weird thing is that
that 2 mana like dinosaur thing we played, that thing was crazy with the 2 1/1 plants.
I will concede that card was very, very good. I will concede that. But the thing is that you're not even getting them your adapts on the summon either. You're only getting them on minions that are played. And again, with the Paladin quest, if you just compare it, it's like if I kill one of the dinosaurs, the dino mech that summons 3 more Murlocs, and they all get the buffs, and they just have to play Murlocs, how the fuck is that not going to happen for my Shaman quest? It doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
So you're going through all this effort for a pretty lackluster, powerful reward, or semi-powerful reward that can potentially do something in a very long game. But as you're probably getting the idea of, these games do not go long enough for you to survive as a shaman to go through all these hoops for this. So how do you solve this problem? Because admittedly, I think the quest is actually really cool. I think double adapts is interesting and actually adds a cool layer to a game of Hearthstone. And it's one of the few times for like a rest of the game effect that it actually sounds like it's not broken. So I'm all about it.
Yeah. I think just reduce how many minions of different types you have to play probably fixes it. Like go from like 7 to 5 or something.
Yeah, that's probably what they're going to end up doing. I think that's probably safe.
That's the easy fix in my mind.
And I think that will help get it down early. You start getting the quests, or you start getting more minions that are like adapted, which is great. And maybe that's enough to salvage the problem. That also means that you don't have to put as many just random minions in your deck to solve it, which means you can put better cards. It probably helps it a lot more than that sounds like, because it sounds like -2 types is like not that big of a deal, but it actually ends up being pretty great. So
no, that means that's way easier to pull off, I feel like, than 7. 7 just seemed like so many.
Yeah. I think that was,
and then sometimes you're playing bad cards in your deck just to fulfill the quest, right? Because that's the biggest thing. So then like the density of cards you're playing is just a lot stronger overall. So I think it's like a double buff in that sense.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Because now you need less things, but then also your cards quality is just higher. So yeah.
Yes.
We'll see.
Okay. Let's go to Warrior. Now, like we kind of talked about, right? I think all of us saw.
I hear you smirking.
All of us saw this quest reward and said, "This is the most fun quest out of all of these. This is the one I want to play." And luckily for me and CGB, we ended up getting it. Unfortunately, I don't think it won a single game in the tournament, and I think I won 1 game in the round robin that we played. The problem with it in Rarran's Rumble, and I mean this generally, is that we had to run 10 cards from Ungoro. If we got to run non-Ungoro cards, this quest would have probably been better. And right now, shockingly, this has the 2nd highest quest win rate.
Really?
Shockingly.
Now, I was never going to get that one. Wow.
It's still less than 50, but I think when things get nerfed and things get changed, I think this quest actually has the potential to be a lot better. And I'm conceding here because I really, really thought that this quest was not going to be playable. It turns out Warrior has a ton of survivability that they can easily get to 10 turns at this point, and hope you just high roll one of the quest rewards, because I can't tell you the amount of times this is like the deck I've been playing the most. It's very fun, but if you hit the Time Warp, if you hit Amara, if you hit like Barnabas was a really good call as well.
You just win.
You kind of just destroy them. Like Galvadon is kind of whatever, because like 5 adapts is like whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
But if you go Galvadon into Time Warp, oh my god, like it is just, you blow them out of the game, and it feels great because you kind of achieved exactly what you wanted to do. One of the things I really overlooked with this quest as well is that you don't have to build towards it. You kind of just slot it into Control Warrior. And that means
just play Control Warrior and it just like does the thing. Yeah.
And that means you have an inevitable win condition. It also helps you out with the fatigue. It's just, I didn't give it enough credit when we played in Rarran's Rumble. And obviously I was biased because we got absolutely destroyed. And I wish we had the removal from non-Ungoro cards, because I don't even think like any of them are being played. But the quest ended up actually being okay. And
okay,
I think when they do their balance changes, they're not going to change it whatsoever. I think they're going to leave it. I think it's a very well-designed quest as well. I think that this was the most fun quest they've done other than the Mage one. I've had probably the best games of Hearthstone with this quest that I've had in years. Like it is.
Sure.
It is very, very fun.
It's just fun. It's just fun. Yeah.
Okay. You had Druid next. Where was Druid?
I think my biggest issue with Warrior was that, from my understanding, it seems like the game is like just so aggressive now. I just didn't think Warrior was actually getting to the 10 turns. Like even with the tools that it had, and like even if it did, I thought it was like some of the other quests you had mentioned where it's just like you get there and then you still lose because like it was too late. But it does have the ability, like you have like Amara to like sort of like get yourself back in the game. Right. So, I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting design.
Warrior is lucky because they do have a ton of survivability. So
yeah,
you do have these moments where it's like you will survive and you will turn the corner and then you'll somehow win the game because you get Amara time warp. Not to say the quest wins. Yep. Not to say that the quest ends up winning you the game every single time, but because Warrior has a really good shell around it, it ends up being okay. Okay.
Druid.
Next is Druid. Druid is the 4th highest quest reward at 40% win rate. I think Druid's biggest issue right now is that other decks fight for the board more aggressively, and therefore it's harder for them to stay on board. And that
was my impression of that deck. Like when we played it, like Day 9 loves Druid. He ran that deck against us so many times, and that's why we just like kept clobbering it because we were just way more aggressive.
So you guys had Blood DK, which is notoriously known as one of the best decks for board clears. And if you go that one feels so matchup dependent because if you have the board clears, that deck does nothing. Like it is. Yep. It's nothing. If you go against a deck that needs to fight for a board and you can kind of aggressively fight for it and you end up actually maintaining a board, it's actually pretty decent. And I think that's why it's one of the higher quest rewards. It will probably do better when things get nerfed because it is kind of shocking how easy it is to complete, like you said. So I don't think they're going to touch it whatsoever. I think they're going to see how it ends up doing after the next balance change. They might buff some cards that go into it just to be a little stronger. But I think the quest overall, the package seems fine. Cool mini game inside a game. I like it. I think I've had a lot of fun because you have to think about how you want to play in your turns out. But obviously it's a quest that's not doing super great at 40%. So we'll have to see what ends up happening.
I just thought this is a Yu-Gi-Oh thing. It's just like when you have cards that are dependent on other cards, they just like don't work out most of the time. So it's just I undervalued that, I suppose, in my evaluation. So,
Druid has a lot of ways to like flood the board. So even if you fall completely behind, like you can do it. It's just again like if there's any deck that can maintain the board presence or constantly clear it, then you're just kind of losing the game. So it's that's what ends up happening. Also, it is Druid, but I mean, I don't think that's very relevant here because they're not ramping. The other Druid, you know what? Hold on, because I'm probably not going to show you this card in any other context. I will let you show. You may have saw this when you guys went through all your cards when we picked decks for this. But obviously we were kind of basing it off the quest rewards, not the other ones. Where is this guy? Hold on.
Lo, the Living Legend. Battle Cry, your minions cost 5 this game. Oh, that's fun.
So that's like one of the best decks in the game right now. Because
just play a bunch of big guys and just make them cost 5. Yeah.
Well, so here's the thing. The way that it interacts is very interesting because there are cards in this game that say cost 1 less for each time you've done this. But that's based on what its current mana cost is. So, for instance, Ceaseless Expanse.
Oh, so if you set it to 5, then it goes down to like 2 or something like that.
It goes to 0, like almost on average. So, it's kind of cheating the system a little bit, and it's very fucking annoying because the second that game is just like, did they draw it? Okay, I guess I lose. So it's kind of miserable.
Fun. That's great.
And I think it was Zeddy who said it. Zeddy was like, "Why is this a quest? This is a quest reward that you don't have to play a quest for." Like it's just it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
It's like that should have been the quest anyway.
Okay. Next you did Demon Hunter. Demon Hunter is the second lowest quest right now.
Woo! At 20, we got it right.
You got it right. You got it right. 26% win rate. Demon Hunter is God. I don't know. I'm not going to say this is correct, but it really feels like the problem with the Demon Hunter quest is that it was swapped halfway through the design. Like it feels like they couldn't balance the original reward of the quest. And they left the first initial part of it, and then now we got the second part. Because what we noticed, what CGB and I noticed from the Rarran's Rumble, and what I noticed from actually playing in Standard is like you were wasting so much time to actually get this quest reward. By the time you get the quest reward, what the fuck was the point? Because you used all your resources.
Exactly.
So it just feels so miserable to play. I'm also a full-on Demon Hunter hater. I hope it never sees the light of day, but I feel bad for this quest because if you opened it, you're probably miserable. At least the Quest Rogue one looks fun to play. This one is so miserable. Like we tried to build it a bunch of different ways to Rarran's Rumble. I've tried a bunch of different ways on ladder to try to like get it done as fast as possible. But inevitably it's the same problem. Like every time you get the quest reward, it feels like you don't even have a quest reward because it's hard to utilize it.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
How do they buff this? They probably have to make it 10, 12, something like lower the amount of ticks it takes because 15 is insane. But Demon Hunter is pretty miserable right now. I don't think you really have to go into this. So it's rough. Obviously, that leads us to Hunter, which you put last, has a 31% win rate. You were talking. That is 1, 2, 3. That's the sixth highest.
Wrong,
that's the
sixth highest.
Sorry. 1, 2.
It's kind of like in the middle.
6th lowest.
I got it wrong. Regardless, doesn't matter.
It's the problem with Hunter. You were talking about the consistency of proccing the quest. I don't know if through my experience that was the issue. I feel like Shock as a card is good, but it sometimes feels like it completely whiffs, and then the rest of your deck just feels kind of bad. So if Shock doesn't give you like the really good beast, then it feels so bad. Like for instance, we had it can feel really high rolly. We have the week before they've been doing these things called like the pre-release Tavern Brawls, which is basically like a really condensed pool of cards. Like it's only like 2 sets from standard, and it felt really good in that because the pool was so good for you. Like it was amazing. But in all the context of the beast currently in the game, it feels like the amount of effort, like you said, is probably not worth the reward that you're getting, even though I do think the quest isn't inherently that bad. It kind of reminds me of the Priest one, to be honest. I'm shocked it's this low.
It's not bad. It's just like I said, I think it's so much more inconsistent in like compared to the Priest one, because the Priest one you're already going to be playing like those types of cards, right? The fact you have to go out of your way to like play these like random beasts that may not even be like optimal to play, like that's not great, you know?
Yes. So then it comes down to how do you buff this? Because you can't really change the requirement, right? It's tough. The only thing you can really do is
make the things that the what's the dinosaur's name?
Shock.
You can make Shock like make the things cost 0 instead of 2.
Ooh,
I mean that's kind of it.
What about
that might be crazy, but you know.
Let me slide this on you. What about instead of beast, it's any minion? You just have to play the attack.
That makes it a lot more interesting, but then it doesn't like is it Hunter at that point because it's not beasts?
Well, you
know?
still get the Shock,
I think there's an argument to be made too if they made better 1, 3, 5, and 7 cost beasts like initially in the set design that like you wanted to play those beasts regardless of the quest or not if you're playing Hunter, right? Because then like you still have the consistency issue, but then at least you're playing like good cards, right?
That's fair. That's fair.
I think there's an argument there too. I think there's a lot of different ways they could touch this one, but I'll be curious if they do. Mess with it, what they would do with it.
You know what's gonna be that's all the quests, by the way. You don't have to give like a speech here because you've already seen them. The interesting thing here is going to be...
I got 2 right, baby!
The interesting thing will be whenever this video is posted, the patch will definitely be out at that point. I would be shocked if they didn't.
You better put it out quick before they patch.
No. I actually think it's going to be funny to read the comments on this video being like... Because I've been trying to like give hints of what I would do. I want to see how close I end up getting to a lot of this now that I've played
that's good. So then you can go back and react to yourself. Yeah, that's content. Yeah. There you go.
600 million IQ thinking from here.
Genius.
Okay, you could.
I 50% won this because I got Paladin right. So at least there was that.
True. I can't believe, dude, the amount of comments we're gonna read, like, why the fuck did they buff it if you guys all thought it was gonna be good? They might never do a Rarran's Rumble ever again, something like that, because of just the amount of comments I read, like, why the fuck did they buff it if it was already good in the tournament?